Hello there. Welcome and welcome back. My name is Tyler, and we know we've been joining together and reading a chapter out of the book of Acts every day. Yesterday we ended on a cliffhanger. 22 verse 40 says, "So when when he had given permission, Paul stood on the stairs and motioned with his hand to the people. And when there was a great silence, he spoke to them in the Hebrew language, saying," and then it kind of cut right there, which is a great way to end the chapter. I really like that. Today's Acts 22. We're going to be picking up on that cliffhanger, talking about Paul's Roman citizenship and the Sanhedrin divided. But first, something to share, I have to admit, and this is also partly for my girlfriend as well. It's been a very emotional, maybe 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. I've been, like I said in the previous videos, in the past, I was supporting a family in the Gambia in Africa. And unfortunately, one of the little brothers passed away. And I've been dealing with a turmoil of emotions of if I had maybe done better about budgeting and giving my support over the past 4 or 5 months, maybe the little boy didn't have to die. And that's just been kind of tearing away at me. And something that's you have to watch out for, and it's kind of dangerous for relationships, is I realized that I have been relying a little too much on my girlfriend for the comfort and just coping with what I'm feeling instead of going to the Lord. So just a little more backstory, a little in-depth lore. I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder a few years ago. I've been a lot better this past couple of years, thank God. He's been helping me. I found a new stable baseline, but in the past I was dealing with mania and depressive episodes. In mania, your emotions are hyper volatile. You have so much energy. It feels like you are on caffeine all the time. Recklessly spending money, things like that. And then depression for me was, my hygiene, like brushing my teeth, taking a shower, washing my clothes, really dwindled down. It was hard to wake up in the morning. I wanted to die a lot. I just wanted to be dead. And that's just a little backstory. But I've been a lot better this past couple years, thank God. I've centered my life around him, and he's become my rock. However, these past couple of days, my emotions have been a little on the volatile side. And it's just been a lot, and I realized I was relying on my girlfriend a little too much with my emotions, and it created some tension between us over the last couple of days. Right before our 5-month anniversary, actually. We've been together for 5 months now, known each other for 6. I love her very much. She's really great. Truly. She is a light. She's very beautiful. She's very supportive. She's very calming. So it kind of breaks my heart now that I allowed her to kind of see that emotional volatility, and I want to say that I'm sorry, Yvette. I am, that you had to see that. It's not really like that anymore. We didn't get into a fight. I wasn't yelling at her. I wasn't, saying anything rude. I'm not this two-faced guy where I'm, me on camera, and then I'm this horrible person. But tears were flowing. I was being stubborn and adamant. And it kind of just created an uncomfortable tension. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't slowing down and listening to what she had to say and things like that. And it's just, it's been difficult, truly. Um, I realize I need to learn how to take my volatile emotions and give it to the Lord first, and then have conversations with the people around me so the emotions don't explode out onto other people like it did in the past. So that's just been something I've been dealing with, and I wanted to share that because it's not always sunshine and rainbows, you know what I mean? Um, yeah, struggling a lot with the idea of not wanting to be alive. That's kind of a common theme in my life, but I feel like that's pretty normal. But wanting to die and things like that. It's pretty rough. I don't mean to be dreary. I mean, I'm okay now. Today was a pretty good day. It was really hot, but that's just something that I've been dealing with. And I just wanted to apologize to my girlfriend because I can't talk to her on the phone. I can send her a text message, and I probably will, but I realized I was relying too much on her. I was leaning too much on her with my problems, and it wasn't something that she could handle. You know what I mean? It was too much. And I feel that it could be a good learning lesson for not just myself, but anybody who struggles with things like that. Understanding what is too much for someone else to handle. Because God can handle everything. Absolutely everything. But I understand that it's kind of difficult to figure out how to go to God with these emotions. For me personally, I think what I was doing was sitting down and I was saying, God, like, I feel terrible for what had happened. I feel that maybe if I did this or this or this differently, then the little boy didn't have to die. And I feel that it was my lack of judgment, selfishness, laziness that inevitably wound up allowing this child to pass away, and I wasn't there for them. And I was just like processing what I was feeling internally, you know. And I think just repeatedly doing that until you come to a conclusion and praying for peace and understanding, things like that could help, you know. So if you're not really understanding how to go to God with things, the best thing that you can do is just sit alone, sit down alone and just talk out loud. God, I feel terrible right now. I feel very sad because of this, and this and this and this and this. And He will listen. He absolutely is listening all the time. There was a Bible verse that I was made aware of. It was something about, I think it was in Revelation chapter 2, verse 3. Did it just come to my mind? Thank the Lord. Hold on. No, it's not chapter 2, verse 3. It was something about... I don't remember. But it was something about I will dry every tear. I don't remember. It's in Revelation though. I will dry every tear. I will do something. I don't know. It was about comforting and drying the tears of His church. And it was all about love. And it just made me feel better on the inside, Man. I don't remember. That's unfortunate. Anyways, I don't want to keep you for too long, but he will be there. Um, anyways, I'm gonna quit yapping about some emotional nonsense, and we're gonna get back into Acts 22, picking up on the cliffhanger. So Paul is standing on the stairs. He waves his hand, and a silence falls over the Jewish people at Jerusalem, and he says, "Brethren and fathers, hear my defense before you now." And when they heard that he spoke to them in Hebrew, they kept all the more silent. And he said, "I am indeed a Jew born in Tarsus of Cilicia, but brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel, taught according to the strictness of our father's law, and was zealous towards God, as you are all today. I persecuted this way to the death, binding and delivering into prisons both men and women, as also the high priest bears me witness, and all the council of the elders, from whom I also received letters to the brethren, and went to Damascus to bring chains even those who were there to Jerusalem to be punished. Now it happened, as I journeyed and came near Damascus at about noon, suddenly a great light from heaven shone around me, and I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to me, 'Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?' So I answered, 'Who are you, Lord?' And he said to me, 'I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting.' And those who were with me indeed saw the light and were afraid, but they did not hear the voice of him who spoke to me. So I said, 'What shall I do, Lord?' And the Lord said to me, 'Arise and go into Damascus, and there you will be told all things which are appointed for you to do.' And since I could not see for the glory of that light, being led by the hand of those who were with me, I came into Damascus. And a certain Ananias, a devout man according to the law, having a good testimony with all the Jews who dwelt there, came to me. And he stood and said to me, 'Brother Saul, receive your sight.' That at that same hour I looked up at him. Then he said, 'The God of our fathers has chosen you, that you should know his will and see the Just One, and hear the voice of his mouth. For you will be his witness to all men of what you have seen and heard. And now why are you waiting? Arise and be baptized and wash away your sins, calling on the name of the Lord.' And now it happened, when I returned to Jerusalem and was praying in the temple, that I was in a trance, and I saw him saying to me, 'Make haste and get out of Jerusalem quickly, for they will not receive your testimony concerning me.' So I said, 'Lord, they know that in every synagogue I imprisoned and beat those who believe on you. And when the blood of your martyr Stephen was shed, I also was standing by, consenting to his death, and guarding the clothes of those who were killing him.' Then he said to me, 'Depart, for I will send you far from here to the Gentiles.' And they listened to him until this word. And then they raised their voices and said, 'Away with such fellow from the earth, for he is not fit to live.' Then as they cried out and tore off their clothes and threw dust into the air, the commander ordered him to be brought to the barracks and said that he should be examined under scourging, so that he might know why they shouted so against him. And as they bound him with thongs, Paul said to the centurion who stood by, 'Is it lawful for you to scourge a man who is a Roman and uncondemned?' When the centurion heard that, he went to the commander, saying, 'Take care what you do, for this man is a Roman.' Then the commander came to him. 'Tell me, are you a Roman?' And he said, 'Yes.' The commander answered, 'With a large sum I obtained this citizenship.' And Paul said, 'But I was born a citizen.' Then immediately those who were about to examine him withdrew from him, and the commander was also afraid after he had found out that he was a Roman, and because he had bound him. The next day, because he wanted to know for certain why he was accused by the Jews, he released him from his bonds and commanded the chief priest and all their council to appear, and brought Paul down and set before them. Paul is about to be questioned. That was Acts 22. Tomorrow will be Acts 23. So just a small recap, life isn't always the, happiest, and that's okay. But we need to learn how to maneuver through those times, and we need to learn how to rely on the Lord and not put so much out on those around us. Maybe they might not be able to, carry that load, and it's not always their job to. So, if you need help or, just want to chat, let me know. I should put an email out there. I will do that. Tomorrow will be 23. Until then, we'll see ya.